Hello there, this is Carol King, the developer of Custom Home Builders Solutions, also known as CHS. This video is a continuation of videos about posting payables bills to people that you pay money to, vendors or people that you pay money to, whether it's a trade, supplier, overhead, the bank for service charges, or who knows what else. And then you post your payables bills all on one window and either mark them as paid or as unpaid to pay later or as paid by a credit card, etc. You will be using this one main window that will be on for almost everything that you're entering that you paid cash out for. But we're going to especially talk about how you can become invaluable to the builder or the big boss for your company if you are the bookkeeper or accountant or person entering bills in CHS. This video is going to focus on the accounts payable window and the tools that are available there to alert you about overages, to let you know about something the field is trying to tell you about deducting something from a bill, to look up past bills, to look at budget overages, PO overages, etc., all kinds of things that you'll see. If you pay attention to this video, you can truly become a hero to that builder. So first of all, let's click Post New Payables and Charges, and let's do From Scratch. In the previous video, I will show you here under Help, we did an overview of accounts payable, and then we did initial alerts about the vendor when posting bills, and that's the previous video to this, and it's really talking about how you set up the vendors for things that will drop in, some defaults that will drop in when you're entering bills to make things a lot faster, for alerts that you will get about insurance expirations, general liability and workers' comp, whether there's a discount available, other miscellaneous expiration, and notes you can write to yourself as alerts about what you want to do when you post the bill to help remind yourself, basically reminders. So that video is all about that, and there were a lot of tips there about setting up things. So I'd like you to be sure that you watch that before you watch this video that I'm about to do. I'm updating this video in 2021. You can see that it was last updated in 2016. So after I finish it, the current video will be here. But it will be a review of the tools and links on the window for posting accounts payable, how the bookkeeper can drill down to related budget, purchase orders, actual costs posted, etc. to see if the cost will cause overages or to help decide which cost code to enter for a bill. It's a lot of things there, so we are headed, like I said before, to where you don't have to route those bills around out to the field to get lost in their truck, etc. on their desk to approve them or mark them with cost codes. You're going to see all kinds of tools for why you won't be needing to do that anymore. And again, how the bookkeeper can be a hero to the big boss and to the field staff. So I just wanted you to see that help there and use it as an introduction. I am actually going to just dive right in here in a minute, but I want to go back to the home menu and I want to click Active Jobs Dashboard. This is a dashboard that the field or you, and I'm going to select a job, the field or you can open up to see all kinds of things about that particular job, that it narrows down, you're working on that job, etc. But I want to click the estimated cost at completion because I want to be sure that you understand how you are being a hero to the builder. This screen is one that the builder or the field or you might be looking at every single day to see things that are heading over. And I'm going to make a point about how you need to go ahead and enter bills, like right here. $350 was entered as an actual posted cost, but you can tell it's not paid yet. It's still outstanding. It's not under the paid. But what can happen if I had entered $400 for this particular cost? Right over here you'd see $50 over right now, even though it's unpaid, and can be drilled down on with all kinds of notes that you may have written about it, etc., to find out why that is. So this is super valuable. CHS is immediately calculating your current estimated costs at completion. You can see these overages going on here, and there might be things that are under because you posted less and marked the cost as done. In this case, this one is under by $350, etc. The first bill I'm going to demonstrate is one that's going to be created for a change order cost. I can tell that right here because there was no budget for it, but there was a change order issued for it, and the cost was estimated that it was going to be $19.13, or this is rounded up, could be just a little less than that, and that we did issue a PO. I can drill down on this PO link right here and tell that that purchase order was issued to ProBuild. So that's where I'm going to head to demonstrate some of the tools on the Create New Payables window. Notice that you can leave this open here and then come back and refresh it, which we will do. We'll stay here on this 3120 and we'll come refresh it after we do a bill here. So let's create a payables bill for ProBuild. Remember what I told you about how you can click this to see how you've set up the vendor? I told you that in the previous video, and you'll notice that it's marked on its vendor setup window that they give us a 2% discount. I am now going to create a job related bill because I am doing a job cost bill. And notice that it says, this is one of the very first tools that happens if they offer a payment discount, is it will find that they do, and it will ask if you want to deduct that when this bill is posted, basically. And I'll say yes. And then I'd like to talk about this for just a second. It says, do you want CHS to post the discount to job costs? Now the job that we're going to be working on right here is a cost plus builder fee. And it is up to your own philosophy about whether if they give you a 2% discount, you also give your home buyer that discount, or if you consider it to be a discount that should just be yours, should not be a job cost for whatever reason. In this case, I'm going to say, no, I don't want to post it to job costs. And when I do that, it means that CHS will go post that discount, but it will put a 0 cost code on it, meaning it will not show up on subsidiary job cost reports. If I say yes, it will use the same cost code that the entry has in it. So let's say no, because I just wanted to point something out that you should pay attention to. These fields over here actually got added to the line where I'm about to post the bill. Notice that it is asking for a GL number to post this to, and this is where I want you to stay aware of what you're doing and use a little bit of your accounting knowledge. But I don't want this to go to 1430, which is my work in progress account for job costs, and I'm aware that I just said no, don't post this to job costs. So what I'm wanting to post it to is something on my income statement that is the account number 3450 that's called earned discounts, and it will go in as a credit to earned discounts because it's a income account over there. So I just wanted to point that out and what that's all about. CHS is going to make 2 entries as of now for whatever I enter here for the job cost, and another entry for the credit that goes to earn discounts. If I change my mind and I don't want to do the discount, I could do no here. I could click that alerts link right there, and this section would disappear and CHS would not post a discount. What I'm going to do though is talk about the value, first of all, of doing purchase orders. One big reason is if you do some change orders and issue some POs for them, then CHS can track your change order actual costs and know that they're attached to a change order via the fact that there is a purchase order issued when you did the change order. So let's start typing Smith John, the job that we're interested in. So it's moved to the area. It's showing PO amounts, posted actual costs, and whether there's anything outstanding on the purchase order. But right here, like we saw on the ECC, here's a PO amount, here's an outstanding amount, and over here you can already see that this is for a change order and it's for frame materials for a patio that we were doing. So watch what happens when I click this. Notice that almost everything got filled in for us except for the invoice number. If you are looking at an invoice and it has a particular date, maybe it's an earlier date, and a lot of times I just put PO 379 if their invoice doesn't have an invoice number. If it does, you should probably put it on there. So all kinds of things dropped in for me when I did that. So I did not have to figure out what cost code I needed. And I can see what this is for because it's locked because I did select a PO for that cost code. But I can see what the cost code is by looking at that magnifying glass. And any notes that anybody wrote about it, etc. right here, describing what this cost code is for, if that will help you get the right cost code when you're entering a bill without a PO and you're trying to figure out what the cost code is. The other thing I'd like you to note by the fact that we did a change order, purchase order, and dropped that in, is that suddenly an exclamation mark popped up here by a field that's called markup percent. The reason this is in where you're going to enter the bills is that CHS produces costs plus draw requests and attaches a markup percent to the bill. So if it's cost plus markup, all it will show is this amount that we post at a marked up percent. So it's telling you this is either attached to a PO with a type change order or change orders were found for the job. It could be that the markup percent is a little different for change orders than what you put on the budget. If a PO is not attached to this record, CHS has supplied the markup percent based on any markup for the cost code on the job budget. Now maybe you marked up the job budget 25%, but you marked up the change order 30% for whatever reason. You really do want to put 30% on this line. But by the fact that we had a PO attached, we're not even having to deal with that. But this is telling you if you don't have a PO attached, you may need to go check those change orders. And you can check those by clicking the ECC hyperlink and drill down to the COs to decide what the markup should be. So notice this ECC hyperlink. This is one of the tools on here where you can start looking at just that cost code that you selected. Maybe you select a cost code, then you look and you see there's nothing in the budget, which is the case here, but somebody budgeted for change orders. So I can see that here, and I can actually drill down on the change order, and I can see the estimated cost and the change order price, and I can maybe figure out what markup percent I want to put on that. Hopefully you don't have to do all that because you did do a purchase order when you were doing the change orders. That's one real big value of purchase orders, is that the bookkeeper suddenly isn't having to figure out what cost codes are. But there's all kinds of tools here to help figure out what the cost code might be. If you don't have a purchase order and you want to just see the entire ECC, which is basically what we saw a minute ago, and you want to start looking through here to see what's been budgeted. Maybe you have a bill in for roof framing from the roof framer, and it is $16,000 something, and you haven't posted any costs yet. That can give you a clue that maybe the bill is for cost code 3130. See what I mean? You can look there. You can also see if you've already posted costs. Like, for example, if you see a cost code that has all the actual costs posted, that's maybe not the cost code that you would be using here. I'd just like you to see how smart you can get about figuring out what the cost code is yourself, most especially if you have a PO, but also that you could drill down and see what the original budget was by using the ECC links here. Now, this is all filled in and ready to go, but let's pretend like I'm looking at the bill and I realize they did not budget for sales tax because the basic price for the materials was $1912.50, but their bill has a sales tax on it. So I'm going to go ahead and put the sales tax in here. And this now is matching what the bill that I got from them is. I also got some sort of question mark button here that I want to go over. If there is a payment discount percent rate on the vendor setup window, an alerts window will pop up that will allow you to select yes, which we went through that. When yes is selected, and I went through that, and the discount GL and the rate. But important, CHS will only apply discounts to the payables invoice total before sales tax. The discount is not applied to a sales tax amount because those suppliers don't usually give you a discount on the sales tax portion of it. So CHS is really smart about that. You can check this by looking at the totals at the bottom of the AP window. But if I take this out, put 0 back, notice that this amount does not change. It is basing it on the 1912. If I put sales tax in, this amount of discount is based on 1912. You can stop this video and do the math on that if you like. I just wanted you to know that about discounts. We won't be talking about discounts anymore, so I'm paying attention to that here so you understand about those. So now we have an overage right here. So what you might want to do is make a comment to the field. So the project manager on this is George Brown, and I am going to say this is over because sales tax was not budgeted for this CO cost. So I'll save that. I would send it, but I'm not going to because we're not in a real thing. I'll just close it, and it actually exists here. And you see that there's a green comment bubble, and I'll jump real quickly to approving bills and show you that in a minute. The other thing that you can do, which I won't do because I don't have a copy of the bill, is that you can upload a copy of the bill right here and attach it to this line so that that project manager will see a paperclip icon on the window where they are approving bills to pay, and they can look at a copy of the invoice and see that sales tax amount on it, etc. The question mark button here will give you some tutorials about attaching files to payables records, and I'm not going to go into that in depth because the next video is in depth about attaching things. So we've talked about the payables discount. We've talked about how you can drill down here. If you just want to see all the actual costs and POs and what's been attached to the POs and what's still open for POs here, and drill down actually to the PO itself because you want some more information. If they had uploaded a copy of the bid when they made this purchase order, the bid that they received, there would be a paperclip icon right here, which means that you as the bookkeeper can be looking at that bid to see what might be different from what they budgeted or issued a PO for than the bill that we're getting right now. And you would see paperclip icons right here if they had uploaded a copy of the actual original bid from the vendor. So that's pretty handy that you can drill down, look at all kinds of things here, and decide to do something. If I wanted to, I could add a new PO that is for the amount of the sales tax and call it a variance PO. Let's do that. The amount of the sales tax we can see is $157.78. And I'm going to go ahead and do a new PO because this is about the tools on the payables window. This is Smith John. It's Pro Build. We're using a cost code, and you can see things back here, 3120. We must not have a default cost code set up for Pro Build, but I'm going to make it a PO type of variance, and I'm going to do that. I can see that $157.78 right here. The reason for doing a variance PO, let's just create it, is that you can get reports of variance POs to analyze why you've gone over on certain things. Let's see if we have set up a reason called sales tax. We should, actually. So I'm adding a new variance reason that I can select from next time. He's put some numbers on all of these, but I'm going to just say sales tax not budgeted or something like that. So you see how many times we forgot to budget for sales tax. So let's close that. And now I can select sales tax not budgeted as the variance reason. That's pretty explanatory, but we can put internal notes, forgot to budget for sales tax when doing the PO for the change order. But now we have a variance PO. So what we can do, if we want to, CHS is going to post this second line for this. I can attach that PO to that in a minute. So let's go ahead and just submit this one for now. We've gone over several things here, and I'll talk still again about some of these other buttons and some other things that happen. Let's submit this. I want to say that it is now telling me we're over budget, which is a really good thing in case I hadn't noticed that already. So I'm going to pause to see what that's all about. Notice that it says over budget. If all unposted records for the job cost and cost code are posted, the amount of actual cost will be over the budget by that $157.78. And it's going to then open a report. And we can see that the POs we issued, that extra PO that we just issued, is totaling in here, and that this is showing that it's going over budget by $158. Posted costs over under budget that are posted, this is not posted yet, will cause this to be that $157. But the PO also caused the ECC to immediately know that this was headed over. So I'd like you to know that that is also making you a hero out on the ECC. So let's go ahead and submit this again. Yes, we know that there's overages, so we'll continue to submit. And we're just going to post this as unpaid to pay later. Now I've jumped back to the ECC that I had open for this job, and I did refresh, and I can see that this line now, anybody opening the ECC is going to see that this is headed $158 over. If I hadn't posted actual costs yet, it would still be showing the 158 over because I issued the PO for that to let everybody know about it right then, even if I hadn't posted the actual cost for whatever reason. But what I'd like you to know is that the person wondering about the 158 could drill down on the comment, and they can see the comment that I sent to George Brown about this is over because of the sales tax, etc. So they can review that. They can also drill down on a notebook here for some more information if they like. And they can see that 2 POs were issued, one change order PO for the original budgeted amount for the change order where we left out the sales tax, and then a variance one with a note about it. And they can see the actual bills that have been posted. CHS posted 2 lines, one for that amount and one for the sales tax. And there's the comments again, and you can write more comments or do some work notes here, but we're not going to get all into that right now. But somebody working on it could do some things there. If you'll remember, we created a variance PO, and I'd like to drill down here to show you how you can get the sales tax attached to the variance PO, the actual sales tax that we posted. Notice here that this says this is done because it's over this amount, and so CHS did check mark that for you. I'm going to uncheck it as done because I want to drill down on the posted cost. Notice how this says it's over by 157 and this one says it's under and there's no actual costs. So I want to take care of that. That's why this is called a POs and cost management window. You need to just keep that in your mind when you do a variance PO on the fly like that before the bill is actually posted. So let's click this to edit this particular one. And let's change from being in this PO that it's assigned now to this variance PO. And I'm going to save it. Now if I close this refreshed, and it is only showing what I drilled down on the 191250 for the POs right there because I changed the PO number. That window was open for just this one PO when I drilled down. But now you can see that it's showing that this is a variance PO, this is a change order, this is a variance PO, the amounts applied to them. You can search for just a certain type of PO right here by doing variance and just see the variance ones. And then if you do a results report, you're only going to see all the ones that are results by cost code, so that you would start seeing just the variance ones so that you could review those later. When you open this window with all the POs showing this is just for that cost code we've been looking at it, or that vendor, etc., you can say I want to see just the variance POs, and you might get a whole list of them, and then you can actually do results reports showing just the variance POs to review. So you see how that gives the big boss and the field so much information based on just what we did with that one bill. Now I'd like to jump over to the jobs dashboard and show you what happens for the field out here. So I click to approve unposted job costs for this job, and you can see on this one that we were doing, there's the green bubble, which will show you the same thing about how this is over by the sales tax, but the field should click on that and read that. They also can drill down to the ECC, the POs and cost management that we were just looking at. They can't change some things on the actual bills, but they could change POs attached, I believe. They can open the PO, look at uploaded bid, and compare that, and do all kinds of things about deciding whether they're going to approve these. They do know they're going to have to pay the sales tax, so probably the field would approve these two to be paid, and they know that they have received these frame materials for the patio. So I'm going to save my check marks. That's the field approving bills to pay, and I just wanted you to know that that's there. And another reason for getting those bills in just as soon as you get them, the other thing the field could have done over there was if they noticed it was the wrong cost code, they could have done some changing of the cost code if it wasn't attached to a PO. If you weren't using POs, they could drill down and just change the cost code for you right there. So they didn't need to have the bills up front, especially if they saw a paperclip icon on that window that opened on that line for that bill. They could see a copy of the bill. So why do they need to have the bill routed around to them? So I think I've made my point about that and the various things that a bookkeeper can use to become a hero to the builder. I want to select ProBuild one more time to show you a couple other tools on the window. Open the job related bills again, And I'm going to say yes, deduct discount, and I'm going to say no, don't post a job cost. And we did that just a minute ago, I know, but what it will supply here is the GL number that is already in the line to use for the regular bill, so that you can just reduce that GL number. But in our case, remember, we changed it to another GL number because we were not applying it to job costs. And if you can't remember what that is, I'm going to demonstrate this other tool that is all bills for vendor, first of all, and you can see all the bills that have been posted. This is the GL number column. This is the cost code column. And if you had elected not to post it to job costs, we have a 0 cost code on the one we just posted, and we can see that we use GL number 3450. So that can help you drill down to get a clue about various things, or what you have posted or what you haven't posted. But the other part about those tools is you can just see the paid bills, if that's all you'd like to see. So the one we just posted isn't showing up on this report because it was unpaid. We can see the unpaid bills, so you can see that, which is some good information. You can see all bills that you paid by credit card that you posted to ProBuild, and then you paid by credit card. And you can tell that, for one thing, by the check number starting with a CC, meaning a check wasn't written for this, that we used the credit card to pay for that, in case you're curious about that. Then another interesting link here for list of checks is really handy, because you can see the checks, you can see what cash account, then you see the date, then you see the check number and who it was paid to, and these will all be ProBuild, and you can see a breakdown of the detail of what was paid with that check. This is the amount of the total check here. And so that can be interesting to you if you want to look at that. So that's handy to look up stuff while you're wondering about things while you're posting bills. We've shown vendor comments before several times, but you can also look at waivers of lien to see if you've been tracking them, and you haven't. We didn't get any notice about those. We'll see that in a minute. And we've talked about activities and notes in the very first video about vendors and notes that you can give to yourself, so I won't click that again. But notice if I enter a date that's like, oh, I don't know, 01/01/2018. I suddenly get a message. This is another thing that happens on this screen, is that I've entered a date that is several months old, so that can help me catch that I put a wrong year or something on it. But then it's also telling me that your current period that you have set up on your company master is showing that your current period should only be dated between these two dates. You control that. The controller or the accountant controls that by going to the company master and setting dates and saying, can a data entry person enter entries outside of that period? And right now it's set to yes, so I could still post one to this 2018, which might not be a good idea, especially if they had closed the books. So they might want not to allow this. They might want to set this to no, which means I won't get away with trying to post that. But it gives you information right away about what your current period is. And even though I triggered the alert by putting an old date, you can also click this button to get that very same window for information about that. Now, a minute ago, you saw that that PO was marked as done that we did, that PO that we did for the change order. And that was because we said, mark POs as done if POs are equal to or over the POs yes. So that's how come it was marked as done, and I had to uncheck it for that. But you could change that to no if for some reason you're wanting to manually mark POs as done as you go. Like in my case, it might have been helpful that that didn't get marked as done yet when I did that changing and attaching to the variance PO. Let's close this and not enter anything. I'd like to go ahead and do ABC Foundation because I know that they have some expirations that I just want to show real quickly. These are shown in our videos about general liability and workers' comp expirations, in our other videos also about monitoring expirations. So there's quite a bit about this already, but when you're entering a bill on the Add New Bills window and it pops up and says general liability is required and it's expired, do you want to deduct for it? I'm going to say yes, and you're going to notice some fields over here that happen, and it's telling me that workers' comp is expired, and I'm going to say yes, and you'll notice some more things are going to happen, and we'll get to that in just a second. Also, miscellaneous expirations were found because we set up on our own, I guess 3 that we wanted to monitor and look at, and to know about if they've expired. You can send a request for their updated license or whatever it is that you need, and that will create a comment sending the request. Also, we're tracking outstanding waivers of lien for ABC Foundation, and we can see that we printed back when. Remember, I'm a demo company and I don't get this stuff updated, but if you're ready to mark that this has been returned, you can just go ahead and mark it as returned and do the return date here and submit it, so that you can sort of handle waivers of lien from here if you get some notices that we have outstanding waivers that they have not returned. Again, I've shown this before, but I can send a request for a general liability insurance certificate right there from the screen, and it's already set to send out to them. If you click send, they'll get an email with instructions to open the communication portal and upload their certificate, and when they do that and reply to you, you'll get an email, and it'll be in the list of comments with an attachment that is their certificate, and on the launch tab you can go ahead and attach it on up to the vendor. But I'm going to delete this because I'm not really going to do that. I've done too many of them already. But I just wanted you to know that part. Now we don't have any POs for this one or anything, and I don't care about that, but I'm going to select this job group myself because I wanted you to see one other alert that happens that you can drill down on, and that is job is closed. It is detected that you use the CHS tools to close the job. It's marked that that the job closing has been posted, so it's giving you an alert that this job is closed. Now we got smart when we closed the job and we went to the DeGroot job setup for DeGroot, and there's a place there that asks for the default general ledger account number you'd like to use when posting job cost bills. Well, we used to have our work in progress as that default. The 1430 is what it is in the NAHB chart of accounts. It's a work in progress account. We used to have that as the default for DeGroot, but when we closed it, or when we got this notice when we were posting a few more, we went and changed the default GL to be a cost of sales single family home GL, so we did not accidentally post this bill that's coming in after the job was closed to the work in progress. Because when you post a job as closed, you move all your stuff out of 1430 and over to cost of sales, etc. But if you click on this, it's also going to say the closing entries have been posted and you might want to use a cost of sales GL number. So if you select a job and you get this message and you still have a work in progress account or something dropping in here, this should help you out by clicking on it and give you a little bit of a clue about that. If you drill down, anything usually in blue that's underlined is active. If you click on the vendor, you can right away get information about calling them because you got the screen open and you have a question. And you can see any additional contacts that were attached to that vendor. So that's another active thing on this screen. We will come back and we will have videos about if you're coming in here to do a refund to a job buyer, you will set this to yes to do it, and we will explain that. If we are paying somebody and we want to back charge somebody else because they caused the damage that we're paying for, we will do yes here, and it will open a field for us to select the vendor to back charge, and there will be a credit or minus amount put on that vendor to take away from some other bills we might get from them. So you have question mark buttons here talking about these things, and we will have some more videos about those. Now back to these two fields that opened up. What dropped in here was a GL number for general liability insurance deducted from trades on our income statement, admin, office expenses, and we've made a contra account so that when we pay for general liability, we post it here to the insurance company, but we like to track all the little credits in this GL number. So it will figure out an amount based on the rate that you entered when you set up the vendor, and I've showed that before, rates that you get for the trade from your insurance agent. Workers' comp, we also set up a rate there on the setup for this particular vendor to be 2% when we marked that workers' comp is required. And as soon as you put an amount in here, it's figuring out how much it's going to deduct from their check. All of that's a preference. You don't have to deduct these things from their check. If they're going to give you your certificate pretty soon so they won't be a problem, then that's fine. But if they just won't give it to you, you might say, well, I'm going to deduct some of these things from your check because I just haven't gotten your certificate from you. So that's what that's for. You didn't have to say yes that you wanted to deduct there. But there's a tool to help you do that. When CHS posts this bill, it'll have a line for $1,000 and 2 more lines for minus this and minus this that it will actually post behind the scenes. So let's go do one more. Let's check this one, big buck. Let's go create a job-related bill. And we're not going to deduct for insurance and stuff. We're ignoring that right now. But I want to do a PO again. And I'm going to do it for a job I've been doing, this one right here, because I want to show you something else that might pop up. Someone has posted an amount to deduct from this PO or has written some PO work notes about this PO. Be sure to click on the PO status and approval notes link. So the field was trying to tell us something apparently. And if we click on it, we look over here, work done approval notes, that he's saying take $200 from them for site cleanup. Now you might do the same thing and put another line and do a minus 200, is what I think you should do. You should keep this one attached to the PO and post it so that it will show this much went to the PO. And then I would do another line that said minus $200. Probably the same cost code, etc., that had a little description in it for site cleanup, so that you keep a good trail of what you're doing. You could also go ahead and add a new PO for that minus 200 if you like we did before, but maybe you get the concept, and you might write a comment here after you do it to the project manager saying, I have deducted the $200 for site cleanup. Just wanted to let you know about that, and that you can look at things about the PO status and approval notes. And one more report that is very good is that it will show you your current ECC stuff, but it will also show a detail of things you have paid. Let's go ahead and set this PO to none. All right, let's change this job to Smith. Let's do a variance report. Now notice how neat that report is based on the job that's in here. It's a little more information even. It's your ECC. It's called a variance cost approval report. It's showing how much you're over. It's showing the things that you have paid or that are not paid yet. If they're not paid, it'll say unpaid or to pay here. So it's a very good detail report related to the job. So that's pretty cool to go ahead and see stuff about that. I think that's everything that I kind of wanted to show you. Hopefully you totally get how you can be a hero and how much you can know and understand as you're entering bills. We are going to go over the various individual fields here and how they come in and what happens and what you're allowed to put in and not in the next few videos, and we'll go over some overhead bills, etc. But this is a pretty good big overview of what you can do on this screen and how much you can do, as long as you are aware that these tools are here and that you have ways to communicate with everybody else about what you're entering. All of these fields are here because in CHS you only enter things one time, and it goes out all over all these job cost reports and ECC and everywhere else without you making a ton of Excel spreadsheets. So thank you for watching.